If you're fed up of paying tax in Dune Awakening, me too, and whether you just want to keep a hold of your coins or you're planning on taking an extended break, today I'll be showing you how to build a tax haven costing you 0 solari with minimal power upkeep. The requirements are on screen now. I used Atreides, but you could really use any set, and I built this over in Misa Toril, but this should fit almost anywhere with very minor adjustments. So let's get started. Start off by placing your regular subfief. I used the foundation trick to get mine 2 tiles off the ground, giving us more headroom, which we will definitely need. This build will work a bit better on flat ground, but it can also be built on uneven terrain like this without too many issues. The foundations are quite simple. Build a 5x5 and then remove a 2x1 cutout at the front for inlet ramps as shown on the blueprint. I did the floor trick again on the base plate, saving resources by only using foundations on the exterior and regular ceilings on the interior. One thing I will say is that you want to make sure the front of your base is as far away from the land claim border as possible, but also not too close to the ground. I couldn't fit regular ramps at the front of my build, but half ramps just squeezed in, so do be cautious about that. When the base plate is done, build wall 2s around the perimeter and construct the interior layout shown on the blueprint on screen. If you're on flat ground, you could flatten this out entirely and squeeze even more room out of this layer, but you should be fine without it if needs be. All walls on this level will be 1 tile high. When the walls are complete, add a staircase on the left side and then cover the top of the walls with floor pieces, leaving the garage and staircase open. After that, build another set of walls. I used windows on the front and wall 1s around the majority of the floor, adding in some more windows as and when it fit. I also placed windows looking into the garage, but decided to replace it with a passageway instead, just to make the garage easier to access. The walls on this floor will be a total of 2 tiles high, with wall 1s on the first tile and wall 3s on the second. When the walls are complete, build a 2-tile staircase as shown on the side, and then top off all the walls with ceilings, leaving a 1-tile gap for the staircase. We will later make a slight adjustment to the first floor ceilings, but don't worry about it for now. On the first floor, build a half-wall roof gable on the left side extended segment with roofs over it to cover that part up. The walls to the first floor are incredibly simple. Simply just use wall 1s all the way around with a doorway out to the single tile balcony, and add windows as and when you see fit. On the northern side of the build, create another roof gable and build a simple roof structure across the first 2 tiles. From there, add ceilings atop the 1 tile high walls, including a hatch frame and a ladder in the back left corner of this floor leading up to what will later be the hangar. When the ceilings are done, the hangar is quite simple. Build wall ones on the first tile on the southern and northern sides, and build some windows at the rear in whatever configuration you prefer. I went with verticals on either side. I then used window 1s and wall 4s for the second tile of walls. Next, use roof covers and half walls on the rear to create an open roof gable that comes to a flat stop, and use straight and flat roof pieces to build it out over the rest of the hangar. Finally, close up the roof to a straight line by hanging roof covers and a half wall from the roof structure above, thereby creating a 2x3 gap. Lastly, some finishing touches. Back down on the first floor, I made the adjustment I mentioned earlier. On the 2x2 of ceilings over the garage, remove them and drop them down one tile and extend them out over the ramps below. Add a window and a door to blend with the already present walls, and place a staircase to reach the upper level, and you now have a recessed segment and a balcony over the garage. On the first floor, I also built a storage rack and a small storage compartment beneath the stairs, both of which we can use to hold various chests or containers. Next, add fences to the balconies if you haven't already, and then place a pentashield in the hangar and one in the garage. It's essential the pentashields are the exact size shown here, 3x2 in the hangar and 2x2 in the garage. I'll explain why this is important shortly. Lastly, I stocked up the storage compartment with iron chests. These racks can fit anything up to aluminium in this configuration, and it's really quite easy to stock. Placing chests on the upper shelf is made a lot easier by simply placing some temporary ceilings, and I also closed off the segment above the second row just to make it look a bit nicer. Finally, we now have our completed tax haven. The most essential part of a tax haven is, in my opinion, the lowest upkeep possible. That's why it's so crucial to have the pentashields no larger than shown here, as this base now uses exactly 75 power, meaning the entire thing can be run on a single generator, which vastly reduces how much and how often you'll have to farm up fuel cells to keep this build going. I've designed this under the premise of somebody needing to take a break from Dune, and thus it is designed for minimal upkeep. There are no crafting stations inside to reduce power draw, but if you did want to use this as a functional base to actually play in, there is enough space in the power room to add extra generators and boost base power, and then of course you can disable some of those workstations as and when to reduce the overall power draw. I have seen talk of a lot of people building tax havens and trying to stuff all of their workstations in there, and then wondering why their power is draining so quickly. Obviously, every generator you have to stock up to meet the 20-day decay timer will incur more costs in terms of just how many fuel cells you'll have to collect, so reducing this power draw as much as possible will just make life a lot easier for you. The second objective of this build is to allow for as much storage space as possible. If you are taking a break from Dune, you'll likely have a lot of resources you want to store, and thus I've tried to leave as much free space as possible for storage racks or even just free place chests and other storage solutions. Obviously, the rack underneath the stairs can hold a lot of items, especially with aluminium chests, but there's plenty more space to store even more if you are swimming in loot. Despite the very utilitarian needs of this build, I've also tried to keep it at least fairly nice looking. If you are taking a break and you just build a cube, honestly, I don't blame you. I actually kind of admire the adherence to efficiency, but I know that at least some people will want a somewhat attractive looking tax haven. This build is quite strong and blocky, more than I'd usually opt for I think, but I think it does work well. You've got a lot of space to work with, nice recreational areas like the balconies, but also the function of having tons of storage options alongside space for a sandbike, buggy and ornithopter. The Hangar is, admittedly, a bit of a squeeze for a scout, but it's not too bad. I'm not sure an assault would fit, and a carrier definitely would not, but if you are taking a break then it might be worth disassembling those instead and just placing the parts in a dedicated box to reassemble when you return. All in all, I'm quite pleased with this design. Efficient, but not one big cube, and it provides a fairly nice solution to needing to dodge Imperial taxes and keep your hard-earned loot safe when you're not around on Arrakis. With this design, pretty much your only worry is power upkeep, which is kept nice and low by the reliance on only a single generator, which makes life a whole lot easier. Having everything reliant on just that single generator can really make the difference between having to find 5 fuel cell nodes to recharge or 50. Anyway, that will about wrap us up for today. I've had a lot of requests for a Tax Haven style design, and this one should serve most people well. The design is almost universally compatible, so you could use Harkonnen Chome Shelter or Chome Facility to create this with very few changes to the design, depending on your preference. Pretty much the only thing that might need to adjust are the roof layouts, which are rather simple to change. Anyway, thank you for watching, I hope you've all enjoyed. I know quite a few people wanted a Tax Haven build, and hopefully this helps out, whether you're just looking at taking a break from Dune and want to reduce your upkeep costs, or you're just looking to dodge the pesky tax. Again, thank you for watching, and a massive thanks to our wonderful esteemed coffee cultists for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. If you want to support the channel here on YouTube and get some exclusive perks, take a look at the new channel memberships available by clicking join just below this video. Take care, and I'll see you soon.